Hi, I'm Brent Gilstrap of Carroll Jones Realtors, and today's episode is with Ryan Langston of OakStar Bank. Just to give you a little bit of background, I've worked with Ryan, and as I've said before, for me to be able to work with somebody, they've got to be client-centric. They've got to be thinking of their customers, their clients, and taking care of them, first. And my experience with Ryan, he does that very well. He's a good communicator. I always feel like I'm in the loop. He's, returns his calls, basic stuff that you think everybody does, but not everybody does. But Ryan is good at that. So today, what I'd like to do is introduce Ryan. He's been in the business 10 years. I was thinking he's been 3 years. He's been at OakStar 3 years. So 10 years, there's studies that show for somebody to be proficient, to be a master in their field, they need 10,000 hours of practice. And that takes about 7 years or so. And Ryan has been 10 years in the field, so that makes him a master in the field. I didn't realize that because he still has that energy of a newbie. 3 years, he has a lot of energy with that. He's excited about what he does, and so I'm glad that he's agreed to be interviewed and share some of his wisdom with you. So, Ryan, why don't you first of all tell us, give us an intro just to yourself and your business.
I've worked for OakStar for almost 3 years. I work in the mortgage lending department. I'm on Adam Swinka's mortgage team. What got me into the business, I actually got a phone call from a family member that asked me if I wanted to get into mortgage lending. And I said, sure. I'm good with numbers, and I think it would be a great fit because I deal with people well. And come to find out, my family member now works with me without me knowing. So anyway, she got me into the business. I became very interested in learning about numbers and how the different programs worked and how I can help people realize the American dream and owning a home. So that's kind of how I got my start.
What would you say your strengths are? You talked about being good at numbers. And with people. Mm-hmm. So what are some things? Could you be a little bit more detailed about your strengths?
Yeah, my strengths are definitely getting people the best deal possible, looking at ways to make the deal work, because people want to buy a home, and not everybody's in the ideal situation with 800 credit scores, 20% down. Not everybody has that. And with OakStar, we have all the options, and I'm able to pick up a deal when I think other lenders can't. So my strength is making deals happen that normally could not.
What are some things that you've learned since starting 10 years ago?
Man, learn to never ever take anything for granted. You can't just assume that something's going to work out. You've got to make sure you do your job every time, every transaction. Make sure you look for every opportunity to communicate with the customer, like, hey, just so you know, this may or may not happen. So instead of lacking disclosure, I'm full disclosure. I've learned that if the less you disclose, the more harm it can do. Because later in the transaction, when the real estate agents say, why didn't I know about this? When I've already told them in the very beginning, say, these people have this, and this to do, and they haven't done it yet. Well, everybody already knew that. So I just like to be full disclosure, where in the beginning I wasn't quite as good at disclosing everything, thinking that I had all my bases covered. So when you think you do and then you don't, if people don't know from the beginning, you're the bad guy. Yeah. So I've learned that.
Well, I tell you what I really like about you, and this when I was talking about communication, your you give regular updates. You, like when I call, I that's one thing I think that we have in common from the standpoint of trying to keep our clients informed so they can make the best decisions possible and how to navigate through stuff. There's no surprises.
Yeah.
And you're really good at that back and forth, saying, hey, this is coming up, or that's happening. Or what I like is you call, hey, they need to get that in. Because we are a team.
Yep, that's right.
And not like us against our clients, but our client with our clients. Yeah. To be able to help them have a successful transaction, right, as smooth as transaction possible. There's always something that seems to come up. So to be able to communicate that is really important.
I'm never too busy to communicate. There's times when I've got to be helping other people and I can't constantly babysit things. But I'll always be sure before the end of the day that somebody is taken care of.
Yeah, you shoot a call, text, email back pretty quick, and so that's excellent. So then, with that in mind, with the 10 years ago, or the learning process over the 10 years, if you could go back 10 years, you're just starting out or just beginning to get in the business or thinking about getting in the business, what advice would you have for yourself?
Wow. I think my advice to myself would probably be keep your mouth closed. I was pretty opinionated in the beginning, and I learned in the business industry you really kind of have to bite your tongue a lot, because just because you disagree with something, it doesn't mean you have to tell them that. And I think that's what I learned. As a 38-year-old self, I'm a lot quieter and a lot more to myself about things, where if you and I disagreed on something, if it was really important, I would obviously tell you, but I think I've learned to just keep it to myself and move on.
Okay, good. And then to be able to balance that, and I think that's maturity and wisdom, to be able to balance what do you say and what do you not say, and how do you help people navigate, and respecting where people are and their own opinions. So that's good. So what advice would you have for somebody that is thinking about purchasing a home, say in the next, whether 3 months, 6 months, a year, 18 months, what advice would you have for somebody?
As far as their credit goes, you don't necessarily have to pull your credit. If they say that you need to do so, you don't have to. One place you can go is creditcarbon.com, and they'll give you 2 free credit scores, and that'll kind of give you a baseline as to whether you need to pull your credit or not. If your score is about 600 or better, I think it's safe to go ahead and pull it to see where you're at. Second thing is obviously make your payments on time. That's a good thing. The third thing is if you're keeping your balances at 40% of your limit or less, that's a great thing. If it's higher than that, the creditors look at you as a risk, and that does affect your credit score negatively. Fourth thing, you need to have about 3 to 4 trade lines of 12 months or better, good payment history. And a trade line's mortgage speak for like a credit card account, a student loan account, or a car loan account. Next thing is don't close your unused accounts, credit card accounts. A lot of people say, oh, well, just don't close it if you don't need it. That's not necessarily a good thing. So check with a mortgage professional before you do that. And lastly, the big thing is if you read something online about handling your credit, don't necessarily follow that lead. Call your mortgage professional and they will advise you on what the best thing is.
What's your bucket list vacation?
Oh gosh, that's pretty simple. I'm going to go to Italy. 100%. I'm going to get on one of those gondolas and have that guy singing to me.
Okay.
For sure. Well, and my wife, obviously.
Yeah, of course you're going to take her with you. That's appropriate, you know.
I don't want to do any rowing. I just want to listen to the guy sing and, take in the scenery.
Beautiful. I've never been, but it'd be a beautiful place.
Gosh, I can't wait.
What about your favorite color?
Favorite color? My daughter tells me it's blue. So whatever she says goes. So it's definitely blue. But sometimes it can be like gray. Something like that, but that's kind of a sullen color, so we'll go with blue.
Okay. What do you find most rewarding in life?
Oh my gosh. Right now, it's definitely seeing my daughter grow. I'm seeing her do things that she's never done before. She's reading at a 4th grade level in 2nd grade class. She's making good choices. She's sweet. She's kind. She's caring. She's doing things that I would want her to do that I didn't do when I was a kid. So it's just super rewarding to see her succeed.
So what goals do you have for your business? What would you like to? What does 2017 look like for you?
Well, that's a great question, and a good businessman would have goals. And my goals for 2017 are to close more deals than I did last year, because it's not necessarily total amount of loans that I do; it's the interest in my product. So if I'm doing 150 transactions a year and my dollar amount is less from the year before, but I'm doing the same amount or more, I'm not discouraged by that. So my goal is to do more transactions that I did last year, continue to grow my business. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but I think that's what everybody should want.
Okay. So what are some of the small habits that you do to help grow your business?
It's definitely the communication. I get comments from realtors all the time that they say, you know what? I really appreciate you telling me when that appraisal came in. or let me know when our borrowers or buyers got approval, because a lot of lenders do not do that, and it's the little things. So communication is definitely one of those things.
What about some personal goals?
Personal goals
for 2017.
2017, I'm getting married on May 27th. So marriage.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Establishing a good home life for me, my wife, and my daughter, who is 7. And so just to continue to grow as a person and keep getting better at not only my job, but what I do in my personal life.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, how did you meet your fiance?
That's a great question. We actually met at church. I've known her for about 3 years, and I was kind of unsure as to whether I should say anything to her or not. But I finally did. I grew up the gumption to do it, and now we're obviously engaged to be married. So,
what do you like most about her?
Oh man, that's easy. She is so bubbly, and it makes me look bad sometimes because people always say, "Well, you're so energetic and this and that." I'm like, you have not met my fiance. She makes me look like I'm dead. So that's definitely the thing I like most about her. She is super bubbly.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's exciting news. Exciting.
It is.
Talk about, here, and that's going to happen really tomorrow.
Oh, I know.
When you think how fast time moves, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun for you. Exciting time.
Yeah, that's right.
Good. Congratulations
Thank
on that. So what just kind of shift a little bit, just from a personal standpoint, and it could be business as well. What, I'd ask you personally about your strengths. What would other people say about you?
Oh, man.
What would your boss say about you?
Oh, strengths. I'd say probably that you can count on me. So I'm accountable. I will show up every day. I will work my hardest. I'd say that's definitely 1. 2 is probably my sense of humor. It's definitely a strength. A lot of people see me as very professional and businesslike, and it's like, man, you don't know me that well.
Talk about that maturity, holding things back. There's probably a lot that you hold back that it's just not appropriate to make it a lighter moment.
Yeah. Just yesterday, I had somebody tell me in a meeting with a client. He said, "You're really professional." I'm like, "Thank you." I appreciate that.
And you are. I mean, I
try to be.
I mean, my impression as well, and my observation of your interaction with your clients is very professional. So,
Thank you.
but what I like about you too is that sense of humor. We've had lunch and stuff, and you definitely have, you sprinkle it in appropriately, and
I didn't use the sprinkle, Brent.
See, it's growth.
Sprinkling.
It's growth.
Yeah.
All right, now what would your best friends say about you? If I went and we interviewed your best friends,
like my
tell
strengths
us about,
or what?
Well, just anything. How would they describe you?
Oh my gosh, my best friends would probably tell me that.
Or tell me, not you. If I went and interviewed,
what would they tell
say?
Brent about me? Oh gosh, I'd say my friends would tell you that I'm very loyal. A lot of my best friends I've known for 30 plus years, and they would probably tell you that a lot of people don't know this, but I care a lot about people. And I don't like to see other people hurt, and I'm very sensitive, and a lot of people know that. Some don't. Mm-hmm. So you're learning something here, Brent.
Okay, good.
I'm a little bit sensitive, but I think that's probably what they'd say. I'd say I'm loyal, and I'm a bit sensitive.
If somebody would like to talk with you about a loan, how would they get a hold of you?
That's very easy to get a hold of me. You can call me at 417-693-2149. You can also get a hold of me at my email, which is rlangston, RLANGSTON at OakStarBank.com. And lastly, you can get a hold of me at my webpage. It'll direct you to the OakStar homepage. It's RyanLangstonHomeLoans.com. And if you want to do a loan inquiry and see how you can get qualified for a home, you can go there.